Ooh, we even said this might happen and I did it anyway.
Right, don't go anywhere. Let's keep rolling. We're going to go straight into it. Are you ready?
Yep, bam.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. The reason that Emma and I are both laughing is because we've just recorded this entire episode without the record button being pressed. I mean, in our defense, it was pressed and then unpressed so we could test it. And then it was the repressing that we didn't do. So if we now talk and don't make any sense, it's because we're trying to remember what we said last time. And if you watch this and find it boring and not funny, it's because we used up all our good jokes before. Emma, how are you feeling?
I'm grateful. Oh, I'm so annoyed. No, I'm really excited to be here. We are doing the WonderBox recording for December, so it's a bit later than normal. Hopefully it's given people more time to submit, and I'm excited to see some lovely festive photos.
You are suppressing your internal rage really well. I'm loving it. No, it's fine. We just did a warm-up. Yeah, no, we're here. Welcome all WonderBox subscribers. Welcome all YouTube subscribers who are just interested in watching along. So what we're going to do is Emma is our guest judge this month, which is wonderful. So Emma is, you'll recognize her from previous videos. And she's very close friends with Santa, who I think you saw quite a lot of in December as well. There's any facial recognition there. And so what we're going to do is we are going to have a little chat about sort of last year, what we enjoyed, this year, things coming up, and then we'll go straight into the judging. It'll be a little bit shorter than normal because you know, you see a lot of us. And while we will talk about Emma's personal photography challenges as well, we're not going to be a total Analogue Wonderland fest for too long. But I think it is a nice time of year to reflect on, you know, what we've done, what we've enjoyed, what's coming up. And Emma has some really cool plans for the WonderBox as well. So, Emma, 2021, from a... Well, I suppose you sort of started at Analogue Wonderland. You started in the warehouse and then moved across to help me with the marketing. What's been the marketing project or idea or plan that you've enjoyed the most in the last year?
Definitely She Hearts Film. So I started that project like before I started marketing with you, so it's cool to see it having like evolved. So we started that March last year around International Women's Day. We've had 2 photo walks, a competition, and just so much engagement. I think the hashtags around She Hearts Film now is like 11,000 or something crazy, which is insane that we just started that like brainstorming in the warehouse one day. So yeah, She Hearts Film has been an absolute highlight.
You've done the photo walks as well. Like you're saying, you've met people and learned, and because that's a really cool thing. It's not just about increasing visibility for female film photographers, but that's clearly a part of it. But it's also about enabling folks to learn.
So for those who don't know She Hearts Film, it's like an initiative we started to bring more of a spotlight on the female film community. And it's definitely done that. We made a list of female photographers to follow. I think even with myself, when you're first new into film, I found it quite difficult to find like other women photographers, especially online. But once you get that ball rolling and start following a few, like just opens the floodgates to this wonderful world of women. So yeah, I've met some really awesome people, made some great friends this year, and learned so much from them. The photo walks have just been amazing. It's still quite surreal that it's all happened, but yeah, it's a massive highlight for me.
So if you're we'll try and do the fancy YouTube thing where we add the link out to that page, because if you want to follow more female film photographers on Instagram, if you're in that position of just being fed the algorithms accounts, which are predominantly men, then please do that. Or if you want to be added to that list, then ping Emma as well. It's 100 something now already and continually growing, which is
I think we're only 200 actually.
Oh, blimey! Wonderful source
Yeah.
of inspiration. So
Mm.
your feed will be flooded. Wonderful. And then so this year, presumably, She Hearts Film will continue to go from strength to strength.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely more photo walks is top of my list. Doing photo walks across the country, hopefully. Both of them have been in London so far, and I know some girls have like missed out on it. So I'd love to go to Bristol is on my list. Also, Tanisha from Grain Girls, she lives in the Lake District, and she spoke about that, and I think that would be really cool and quite different for a lot of people. Challenge us in a new way with what photos we take. Yeah,
And you get like a She Hearts Film party bus
yeah,
that like
tour bus.
starts in Southampton, goes through London.
Yeah,
Bristol,
picking up every female photographer on the way.
Exactly. Turns up at this Airbnb where, yeah, exactly, hundreds of women and thousands of film cameras.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Hopefully photo walks and maybe even an exhibition or some more in-person things. It's been a big discussion about how to get your photos out in person and not just living on Instagram or on your phone. I think that's like a big motivation for a lot of people this year. Hopefully, if COVID behaves itself, we'll get out there a bit more.
No, that's super exciting, and of course we'll continue Kodak competitions. We've got birthday parties. I'm sure we'll have the scratch cards from last year was your work, and that was
really cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to top it this year somehow.
Hopefully the photography show as well, COVID aside, should be bigger and better, and that was amazing. We're working with a few others to do a sort of breakout analog spotlight as well at some point, hopefully. So yeah, there's loads of exciting stuff for the film. And you personally, what would you, as you think back on last year photographically, what would you say you really enjoyed? Was there one like film or project or moment that you really proud of?
Yeah, so I was in an exhibition in November, and I was doing liquid light prints onto fabric. So I made this like huge hanging piece that went in front of a window with different photographs of this abandoned building that we were responding to as part of the exhibition. So some more darkroom printing with liquid light I'd like to get more into and nail that technique a bit more. But it's such a
just the things really. Darkroom printing, liquid light, cloth. Easy stuff.
Yeah, Paul always jokes that my journey into film photography is a bit backwards, because I'll ask him common questions about just lenses, but then on the same side of things, I'm printing liquid light emulsion in the darkroom. So
was it like you're like, oh, I'm not really that technical, and I'm like, what were you doing last weekend? Oh yeah, ceramic tile prints. Yes, sure. But then you're right. You're like, remind me aperture. Which way?
I just came at film from such a fine arty route that all the technical stuff is a bit,
But it's brilliant. That's why, I mean, I think it's Hamish who talks about the fact that he often thinks of film photography as being three separate hobbies: shooting, developing, and scanning. And then obviously printing is, I don't know whether you combine it with developing, but I think that's really true. And a lot of people have an affinity with one more than the others, or all of them. Yeah, that's what makes it so wonderful. You sort of take what you want. Wonderful. And then this year, what's your intentions? Do you have any goals, resolutions?
So I'm hoping to, with the sort of shortage of colour film that we've spoken about, just making the most of the resources I have. I think the tendency with working at Analogue Wonderland, as amazing as that is that we get so excited by new films and new products, new launches, and just buy loads of awesome stuff. But I have a box full of film in the fridge, so I would like to try and slow down a bit, shoot what I have, learn from that, make notes, sort of get to know a film really well before just getting excited and going on to the next. And also trying to make my photos live outside of my phone, maybe do some more printing, exhibitions or in-person stuff, because I think we all work so hard on our film photography, and then we just scroll mindlessly. So things like this competition and other ways to get your work out there, I'd like to put more energy into that.
Yeah, it is true that like something is, I don't know if it's simple, but it doesn't feel like a huge barrier to submit to the competition that we're going to be talking about, or the portrait one that we're currently running as well, which is open to everyone. It's really awesome. But as soon as you do that, you're forced to decide and choose and maybe edit a bit and crop, all these things that you can be guilty of just quickly scanning them through. I mean, I had the same resolution last year that you just talked about, and I did really well for a couple of months, I think, in sort of spring to summer, where I had a spreadsheet of like the camera, because it's the camera as well that, you know, you try to, when you have several, the camera, the film, any notes on developing, and then like reflections on looking back. It's how I spotted that one of my cameras needed a repair, because it was consistently overexposing slightly, and then it got worse. But also, there's some films that I really, really enjoyed, like the XX in 120. I just loved that film. But I lost track somewhere in summer and haven't quite got back to it. So I'm back to my mishmash of just films coming in, coming out. Half finished rolls around the office.
The Wonder Lab literally across the corridor. It's just too easy to just keep shooting and
and then get the film, go yay, and then shoot. You know, exactly without pausing. But that's my problem in life. Then it's a
pretty nice problem to have.
I'm enjoying film so much. I'm not taking enough time to enjoy it more. No, exactly. I think that's and actually I think one of the reasons that I lost it a little bit was back end of last year. I think there's all the Christmas stuff that when you work in retail becomes overwhelming, but I think also we talked about this a little bit earlier, definitely felt a bit overwhelming, life and everything in the last year. Partly winter, COVID, back,
what's going on,
and all of that kind of stuff. And I'd definitely noticed as well, like I shoot a lot more when my mental health is better. And
interesting.
But also, I also know that shooting helps my mental health. Like it's a nice, reflective, mindful, fun. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle.
Taking time out for you, taking time out for you, and remembering that we love film photography, so making time for it outside of work to just be something to enjoy as well.
So it can get a bit vicious cycle, I think, where if I then start to feel a bit down, I won't take as much, which then doesn't necessarily lift you, etc. So I think the other thing I'm going to try and do is almost like exercise and health eating, adding it to being. So I think it's like adding it to exercise, health eating. It's like a well-being thing to sort of keep an eye on. And if I haven't taken time to do a photo walk just for me, not to test any film, not because I think I'll get a photo that we can use for I think that's
like mindfulness and just going out for a walk with your cameras. So calming.
That's what brought me in the first place was that. So yes, okay, good. There we go. So we've got a bit of discipline, a bit of well-being.
Sounds like a good balance.
Exactly. Roll on 2022.
Yeah.
And there are some really exciting stuff coming out from some of the suppliers as well that we can't talk about yet. It's way too soon. But I think I don't know if I'm seeing the end of the tunnel just yet, but in terms of supply, in terms of new products, I'd like to think I'm feeling better about that sort of than I've done for a year. Not now, not February, but in the next 6 months. See things coming, I think.
You were saying yesterday that we have to believe. It's like Tinkerbell and Peter Pan, we have to believe in colour film. It's going to come back, otherwise we're all doomed. We have to be
every time someone says, I don't know, it'll get better, then a roll of Colour Plus fails quality control. Exactly. That's exactly it. No, exactly, and it does, and I do believe, and that's based not just on the faith that we must all have, but also what we can see long term. So hopefully, fingers crossed, really really cool stuff. Right then, should we get into some photography judging?
Yes,
So
see all these
wonderful.
lovely photos we've never seen before.
Exactly, we've definitely not talked about in detail. We've got to remember to talk about them fresh. So so this is the December. Yes, December. Yay, new month. December/start of January competition. Thank you for all your submissions. We've got a few special mentions that we'd love to talk through. I've picked a couple, Emma's picked a few. Then we've got the lucky dip winner and then the grand prize winner that Emma's been in charge of as well. So Emma, your first time judging, although you've obviously been part of the conversations and interviews for a few months. What have you brought to the judging process? What is a good photo for Emma Lloyd?
I hope I'm bringing a more of a creative angle to judging the photos. I think some judges have got quite technical about like composition and that sort of thing. So yeah, looking at more creative, unusual shots, or just more candid. Just I'm not going to get too sciencey and technical about it. Just lovely photos, nice light that I like.
Brilliant. Well, there we go. I mean, this is the fun of it. Like you're coming from the fine art background, so you'll bring that to the judging. Okay, so let's get cracking. So first up, we have a wonderfully comfy looking dog from John Broughton. The image is called Coating. John is at Blue Booby Fish on Instagram. Excellent name and a wonderful photo. I mean, I love this. I think for a couple of things. One is the grains. This is shot on 3200, which John does mention. This is Ilford Delta 3200. That he didn't necessarily love the grain in all the photos, but he thought it really worked well in this one, and I totally agree. Like you've got that grain in the leaves, in the coat, but then in the dog's face, that is quite dark. Like you could easily lose detail if it was sort of muddy. But the eye, razor sharp. The fur, the texture is really strong. And then I love the composition. I love his expression. I love the sort of the leading line.
Yeah.
With a single twist. It just adds a little, I don't know, a little extra that I really enjoy just looking at it. Beautifully balanced. What do you think?
The texture is definitely what I'd pull out for this one. From the leaves to the texture of the little coat he's wearing, I think it's really pulled out all those details really nicely.
So John has said really likes the tonal balance of this photo and the film as well, and I think you can see that it's gone from the darks but without losing the texture of the face and the nose all the way through. Lovely. Okay, then we go from the doggy to a bridge, Under the Bridge by Susie Jones, who is at Susie Jones Band on Instagram. And I love this. I love contrast. People who follow me know that now, and this definitely has some really lovely contrast. I really like it matched with then the industrial, the rivets and the shapes and the grittiness, the repeating sort of lines and the shadows, the patterns. But then what I really liked about this one versus a lot of similar shots I might have seen in the past is you then have this negative space, this really strong black in the top left that you don't expect, and I think really adds something. It's like, I don't know, it's a bit foreboding, it's a bit imposing. It's very different. I don't know why it fades so fast into this absolute dark, but I don't know. It really appeals to me.
Yeah, I really like the negative space on this one, and how the shadows just lead off into sort of abyss of darkness. I really like the contrast again in this one. It's really strong blacks. It's really striking.
Brilliant. And it was shot on Washi Z, and Susie's sort of tip for that is make the most of the bright dynamics between highlights and shadows, so that contrast. And that's why she loved this photo in particular, the patterns that were created between the interplay of shadows and structure. I totally agree. Wonderful shot. Thank you so much for submitting. Richard Alonso, who I think we've seen before in a past monthly competition. We're moving on to your special mention. So tell me why you picked this one. What do you like?
So this is one of the festive ones that I mentioned, and I just think this is such an adorable shot. It has a sort of timeless feel to it. I think it reminds me of like maybe a photo you get down in an American shopping mall or something, but just for Christmas. It's like a classic Christmas card photo. Using snow blocks as well for this type of photo is like absolutely perfect. And yeah, the actual snow blocks effect combined with the background, it just works really well. And I just think it's adorable. They'll look back at this photo in years' time and they've got stroppy teenagers around and think, oh, look at my little angels.
So reminiscent. No, I like that. Yes, it's shot on snow blocks, which obviously has those snowball effects, and it's really smartly done because, yeah, the blurred lights in the background, a lot of them are blurred lights, but then some of the brighter ones start to become. Well, actually, even the fairy lights. Some of the bright lights are fairy lights, and then some of them are the snow blocks effect. And then as you sort of come to the front with the larger things, it works really, really well. And yeah, the little faces. And the costumes as well, because they're not wearing their normal clothes, which would by definition always date it somehow with the style and the patterns. This could be the 50s. Yeah,
it could be. Yeah, I hope they do another photo in 10 years' time. See if they can wrangle their kids into the same positions, the same costumes. I think it'd be brilliant. It's really cute shot.
You're right. This is one of those photos that would look incredible like that. So Richard Alonso, called Santa's Little Helpers. Snowblocks is a really fun film for family Christmas photo shoots, and he loved this photo in particular because of how it captures the all too fleeting childhood innocence of Christmas. And Richard is at RPA Alonso on Instagram. Wonderful, really, really lovely photo, and I love that we're getting some festive shots into the competition at this point. Because if you can't submit it now, when could you? Although based on my average time to develop, it would be from last year. So we move on from black and white now into some incredible 70s sun warmth. So Ryan Leroy, who has two, I think, of your special mentions. What did you like about the lady and the dog?
So same sort of things. I think it's like it's almost timeless photo, but looks quite 70s and reminiscent to me as well. I think the plates in the background are just wherever they're staying, it looks sort of quite old school. Even like the bow she's got in her hair, I just love the whole vibe of the image. But then also the way the light is hitting her face, just like capturing her smile right there. And then the fur of the dog, the bright white, and mirroring the white on the plates. I think it just works really well as an image.
Yeah, and I like the lamp as well. It's almost a bit movie set-esque.
Yeah.
The only visible light source is the lamp, but clearly that's not what's lighting up the people. So it's there almost for atmosphere and background ambience rather than anything else.
Yeah.
But no, I really like it. So well done, Ryan. Thank you so much. This is Paige and Betsy the dog. Betsy the dog. What a 70s. I think I said this when I first saw it, that it looks a bit like a Mad Men, late seasons of Mad Men kind of look. So Ryan is at This Is My Love Letter to Life on Instagram. And it's shot on Kodak Gold, which is his favorite film of all time. And then also, Ryan mentioned that he's recently used Negative Lab Pro to convert negatives, and I think it's brought a whole new quality to my work. But it's lovely. Like, that must be really exciting. Invested into software, maybe money, but also the time to learn it and get up to speed. But to be able to say that a new part of your workflow brings a whole new quality to your photos must be really exciting. Have you used Negative Lab Pro?
No, but it has been recommended to me a few times recently. I think a few people in the photo walk have used it as they've tried to move away from Photoshop or other softwares, especially if you're just using film, like, and this is completely designed for scanning in your negatives. It sounds great. Yeah.
It is lovely, like versus even a few years ago, the options for being able to do that is incredible on your phone as well. There's options, apps that you can just open up and boom, with a pixelator and a window, you can get a decent with a negative. It is unbelievable.
There's a lot of
exciting. I'm really excited for you, Ryan, that you found something that you think would work. So do you think you'd ever go back if you found something like that? Do you think you'd ever go back, and would you be tempted to redo past negatives, or would you just be like, the past's the past, I'm going to shoot photos and look forward?
It depends. So I was mentioning to you earlier, Andre, who works at Cine Still, his whole hard drive just corrupted recently, so he's going back through his whole catalogue of negatives and rescanning them, which is absolutely awful. And I messaged him, said, God bless, I cannot imagine doing this. But at the same time,
coffee and bugs.
It's a good opportunity to explore new processes, because you might have learned a new way to scan during that time, and now you can enhance older negatives. But I'm not going to do that unless I have to, because scanning is not my friend.
There's definitely some photos that scroll through every so often on screensaver from my first year rolls of film that I look at them now and I'm like, that's a scanning error. There's something like, I could redo that and that would look a lot better. But it's a rabbit hole then. Like, where would you stop? Would you do every frame? Would you do your favorites?
Yeah.
Because often, like, I've got certain, I suppose it goes back to your conversation about what you then do with your photos, because the best frames, if you're then going to print it, yes, I'd want to rescan it with my best today and edit it and the best software.
Yeah.
But often it's like a whole roll of film will be more evocative of like a holiday or
it's like the whole story rather than just one frame.
But then if you start scanning whole rolls of film historically, like
that's very long.
Well, good luck.
Hats off to Andre.
Exactly. Best wishes, and that sounds like a project for the ages. Okie dokes. So thank you so much, Ryan. We will be coming back to Ryan in a second, but first we have Jubril and photos from Porto, shot on Rolly RPX 400, which they describe as a much warmer black and white film, has a very large range within the monochrome color scale. So what did you like about this photo?
I know I said I'm not going to get picky about composition and stuff, but I do really like the composition of this one. Just the repeating pattern and the subject being right in the center. And also, I think if you zoom in, he's got quite a funny expression on him. The only constructive criticism I give, I think it would be nice if it was just framed in on the seats, like the two stairwells weren't there. The people in the background might be a little bit distracting, but I think it's a really cool photo. I really like it's a weird thing to be in a traditionally crowded place, but just one person there, I think always gives a eerie vibe to it, an image, but his smiling face makes it a bit more comical at the same time.
Yeah, it's one of those brilliant photograph tells a story. It makes you think, well, was this Porto social distancing? one person per block of seats. Was it the start of a match or a stadium tour? The chap's clearly having fun. Does he know the photographer, or is it a moment that just connection?
Lots of questions.
I think the problem, being really annoying, I think the challenge with repeating patterns is that the human brain will always immediately flow to the bit where it breaks, and I think the people in the top left I find a bit distracting. I'd love to either crop or reframe slightly without them, if I'm being
even just put him a couple of seats up, maybe.
And then zoom in more.
I remember judging a photo when Andy was doing it for the gold competition, and there was a similar situation, and the photographer must have literally counted every single line on the slats of wood. But he got it absolutely spot on, and I think if you really want an image like this to work perfectly, you need to count one by one and be in the exact right place to nail that frame.
Yeah, or almost deliberately. If you're gonna, it's like the rules, isn't it? You know the rules, and then if you break them deliberately.
Yeah.
Like the bridge earlier, where you then had that massive negative space. Whereas this maybe feels in between. But you know, we can't be harsh. This is a brilliant photo. I love it. I absolutely love the softer contrast. I love the face. I love everything about it. But and also, if this was a moment in time, quick shot, and it was just before people turned up, or like you don't always have the ability to count.
Luxury, yeah. Or maybe they're just doing excellent social distancing at this stadium.
Exactly, in which case all bets are off, and that's wonderful. So at @the_Muller_mixer on Instagram to see more work. And then back to Ryan, and possibly the same weekend. It's definitely the same film. It's definitely the same gorgeous light, but a different subject. And we have baby Casey here, looking like the world is all right by them.
We were saying earlier that Ryan must have been just chasing the light around the house where he was. Because I think that's what's really set off his images, the way the light is highlighting his subjects, especially on this one with the baby with the bright blonde hair. And it's sort of got leading lines as well, leading right to the subject. I just think it's a very cute image. He looks very happy with his dummy. Life is good in the sunlight. What more could you want?
Little hands on his legs as well, like, oh yes.
Lovely bit of sun.
Oh yes, exactly. It's a warm with cockles.
Yeah, I like the shadows in it as well. Similar to the one under the bridge, how the shadows just sort of lead off the image, and the negative space works really well here too.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a photo like this of my daughter, this would definitely be one that I'd get printed and or in the house, because the character and the piece and the colours are just, it's one that I definitely want to sort of be seeing and be reminded of on a daily basis, because it just looks so lovely. And if it's also with the photo before that feels like a wonderful family weekend, maybe.
Yeah, nice series there.
Yeah. Brilliant. So well done, Ryan. 2 wonderful photos in the special mentions. And now we move to the winners. So of course, first of all, we have the Lucky Dip winner. So everyone who is entered each month gets a chance to win the Lucky Dip, regardless of who's judging. So it's always a fair thing. But in a rather bizarre twist, the runner-up and the grand winner both shot on the same films, which happened. So runner-up, Amandine, with a shot from Paris, and a wonderful example of when red scale really works. It might be a lucky dip. We didn't pick this one ourselves, but I'm very happy to talk about it because I love it. What do you think, Emma?
Yeah, I think it's a lovely image. I think it's also got repeating patterns in it, which seems to be the sort of theme I've picked out in the images so far. But yeah, I love the pattern in it of I'm not sure what they are, maybe lights above them, the sort of strips of lights, and then the buildings on the side all sort of leading you in the direction that the couple are walking. I'm just really like how the red scales worked here as well. I think red scale is sometimes a film that you have and you're not sure what to do with, you're waiting for a specific thing to shoot, and just taking it out for a bit of street photography like this person's done just works really nicely and gives a whole different aesthetic and atmosphere to a normal photograph.
Yeah, totally agree. It's really lovely. And again, compositionally, you've got leading lines leading you through. You've got you've got repeating patterns. It's the matching of the square of the windows, sort of seeming to line up a little bit with the lines of the roof of the overhead on this side. I think red scale as well. You know, we talked about this when we put it in the WonderBox, but red scale you shoot through the back of the film. And the plastic backing is often red plastic, which is why it's red scale into the emulsion. So you get a different effect if you throw a lot of light through that, or not very much light. And you can see that actually in the reflection of the so where it's very bright, a lot of light's coming through, it's quite white and yellow. And then as you get darker, it also gets very red, which gives red scale this beautiful character. So you shoot it at 200 ISO, and it'll be redder than if you shoot it at 50 ISO. And I think it gives it really lovely, so contrast moves through color spectrum as well as just through the sort of the amplitude of light. Yeah, so I think it's a really, really gorgeous one. So congratulations to Amandine. Your gift voucher will be on its way shortly, and that is at Petra_Von_Schnaps on Instagram. And then we have the winner. And as I've already alluded to, this is a red scale photo. It's very, very different, and it's absolutely captivating. What? I love this. What? But you chose it. You were the judge. Talk to me about what made this the one that stood out for you out of everything that was submitted this month.
Well, I think the red scale always stands out from the rest because it's just such a different sort of color palette you're working with. But I love this image because it's just got such a surreal atmosphere to it. It looks otherworldly, like it's on Mars or just somewhere that's not the UK, put it that way. It's just so cool. I love the boy in the middle and the little tiny reflection on the right of it. I think leads you to a different part of the image with even more detail that you hadn't noticed before. I just think it's such a cool, surreal shot.
We've talked about the we just talked about the texture, and you can see it in the sky. I love the sky. I think it's stunning, and you have that. It's brighter on the right, but it's also more yellow as it moves across. And actually, I saw a point of this on the comments. So Matthew Trask, Matt says that he shot, he aimed perpendicularly to where the sun was shining. So rather than having the sun behind you or in front of you, you shoot sort of at 90-degree angle. And what you then get is you get, especially with a wide angle lens, a really strong contrast range at sunset or sunrise. And obviously with red scale, that brings the color spectrum as well. And I think that's. It just feels so surreal. Like my head just can't get around the perspectives. Like that house, it looks so tiny. It must be really far away. But it's weird to have that much detail. And then the boy, how big is that? Like a balloon.
Yeah.
And I only knew it was a boy because of the writing. I'd have just said it's a balloon otherwise. But then are those stones really big, or is it pebbles that we're close to? I don't know. It just feels like a surrealist composition where someone's almost planted elements into a scene to mess with your head a little bit.
Yeah.
The real thing that Matthew saw, and
yeah, it's really cool. It would make a really nice postcard or a little print. I love the gradient in the sky as well. I just think it's a very surreal image that you just want to keep looking at and pulling out more and more detail each time.
Yeah. No, you're right. A postcard of this would be really stunning. And also, like, you can see when you shoot red scale, it's coming through the plastic. You can often lose a bit of detail, but the resolution around and the contrast around the pebbles or the stones on the beach, it's really, really sharp. But then you have the atmosphere in the sky. Oh, wonderful! Thank you so much. So let's have a look as well. So Matthew also says that. He'd played around with the ISO, so I think this is his first roll of red scale. Started mostly on 200 ISO to really dig the red effect, as we'd said earlier. Then swapped to a 100, which gave some really great photos. It regrets not taking any at 50, but I'm assuming that Matthew might be then doing that with the next red scale. And this is wonderful. I mean, this is exactly the point of WonderBox, like a new film with a new effect or a new way of shooting, trying things out, learning it. He clearly took notes to see when he swapped. I mean, that's what I think I'd do. I'd probably shoot at different ISOs, but do it randomly and forget to remember which was which.
Yeah.
Matthew, well done for your discipline. You've learned properly from it. And then he's even got an idea of what to do with the next roll. So absolutely embracing the attitude and the point of it. So a very worthy winner. Well done.
Yes, well done everyone. Thank you for all your lovely photos. It's been a pleasure to look through them, not once but twice.
Exactly. and we'll check whether this records. Otherwise, we're doing it for 3 times.
Woohoo!
No, it is absolutely wonderful. And again, you can see the variety of the films and the shooting styles. And these are just the special mentions of the winners. Obviously, there's even more behind that that didn't quite make it this time. But there's always next month. And Emma is deliberately being more active in the Facebook group this year as well. So if you have any questions or thoughts, like I know that there's lots of people who have never submitted to the WonderBox. That's because you're not sure how, or you're worried, I don't know. And please do reach out to Emma, because this is all about learning from the community. And I mean, Emma, have you ever shot red scale?
No, I haven't, but I have some in my fridge, so...
Don't be put off. If you shot 1 roll of red scale, then you're already more expert at the moment than Emma is, although I'm sure she'll catch up soon when she gets through that fridge stock. The whole joy is exactly this, seeing what people do and thinking of things and trying stuff out. So you're going to shoot some red scale. Is it quite high up your list, do you think?
I think so. I actually have a roll of red scale that Toby made, his red eye red scale.
Yep.
So Toby's been so brilliant and supportive on Instagram when I've been like, I had darkroom questions, so I feel like I owe it to him to try his film out properly. And the packaging is really cool. I think I'm just like overthinking where I should shoot it, but looking at these images, I think just gotta give it a go, and it will give an interesting atmosphere wherever you are.
My first ever red scale, I think I shot sort of on a woodland walk, and it was quite dark, and I don't think that worked particularly well, although that might just be my photography. But I think having some strong light and street and portrait and still life, they're the ones that I now really enjoy on red scale. But I think I'll have a go at shooting it across different ISOs and see which sort of with a notebook
best. Maybe for the first few shots, we'll see how I go.
Or maybe you have a thing where like every 5 shots you change the ISO.
Yeah, that's a good way to remember it. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being our guest of honor. So you're taking on more of the organization and the responsibility for the WonderBox, which is really cool. And you're starting to line up some judges. What are your plans for the judging panels across the next year or so? Is there anyone you're trying to get in particular, or what's the thinking?
My main goal is just to have like a diverse range of judges. I think it's always interesting to hear directly from the film companies or the film creators, but also would like to speak to some maybe smaller people in the community who've got like really cool projects going on, and people maybe not with the same huge following, but with a lot of inspiration that they can give the rest of the film community to get us all shooting and doing some more cool things. But if anyone has a judge or someone they'd love to get on the channel, please comment below and let me know, and we'll try and get in touch with them.
Brilliant. Yeah, and judging isn't intimidating. We have a lovely chat. So anyone who you think of exactly who'd be interesting, who does great work, would love to. Also, you're also looking at the goodies. So each month we try and do sort of a physical goodie that's useful or fun, and then a discount or a voucher from one of our partners or friends in the community. Emma's lining them up, sort of great network of manufacturers of different bits and bobs. But if you have any ideas of what you think would be really fun, or someone that we can partner with and help promote their business, then please do get in touch as well, because that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love what Emma's doing for the March-April box. There's a really cool thing that I will definitely use a lot. So, little teaser. And this month you've got the film handling gloves, don't you? Yeah.
So hopefully they'll be useful. So for anyone who is deciding to rescan their whole negative archive, having learned about Negative Lab Pro, we've got the gloves, so you can. And I
get told off by Marina all the time when I mean, my films, clearly I don't touch customers with their hands, but I'm very happy to just play with my roll of film, and Marina winces as she looks at me.
Looks at you in disgust.
Exactly, the sweat on your fingers can cause harm, not just in the short term, but or archivally also degrade over time. So yes, white gloves for handling film. That's the motto. You have them free. You have them free in your box. Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Emma. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Please do drop any comments or get in touch with us if you have any thoughts. If you are in the WonderBox, if you subscribe and haven't submitted yet, my gentle challenge to you is to please do submit. I'd love to see work. If you have any questions or concerns, then ping Emma and she will show you. If you have any ideas for judges or goodies, then let us know. Otherwise, we will see you all very soon.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.